Yo, there's something beautiful about Bearcats basketball. High flying.
Kenyon with a jam.
Shot denying.
Miles rejected.
There's just an energy that comes with the Cats. A rich history built on toughness.
And Mick Cronin looks like he wants a technical.
A bring-your-own-lunch pail mentality. For a long time, UC was the hunted.
And I felt that we couldn't lose.
I think it's time the Bearcats do a little hunting of their own.
Once y'all done with them, send them to me, man. You know what I mean? We can put them on the court and keep that Bearcat thing going.
I am fired up.
Takes it all the way. Oh! It's going to be Little.
I wonder how Steve Logan would be over in Afghanistan or somewhere. I bet he'd be pretty poised. He just does not get rattled.
Van Exel, he'll cut it loose. Watch out. Stevenson cuts it back. Oh!
Kilpatrick outruns everybody. Johnson, the exclamation point.
We've been dealt the king of heartbreak over and over again.
Rozier, Smith, and
Everything they worked for was undone on one play.
But I see the light. The Cats are back. Lukosius, open three, got it! Oh, baby! Welcome to the only live Bearcats postgame show on YouTube. This is Chatterbox Bearcats. Howdy doody, everyone. Welcome into Chatterbox Bearcats. We got Nick Niehaus. I am Chuck Walter. You can find this show live for breaking news, live after the games, and whenever we feel like talking Cincinnati Bearcats. Third portal pickup of the offseason. First, it was Kerr Kriisa out of Kentucky. Then it was Sincere Harris, the defensive specialist from West Virginia. So we got a point guard in Kerr Kriisa, someone that can hit it 36% from three, someone that can facilitate, one of the best on-ball defenders in the Big 12 in Sincere Harris. And today, the Cincinnati Bearcats get themselves their first of what is hopefully many big men to choose from. But this is a big unit, my friends. Big Slime, they call him. Jalen Haynes out of the Atlantic 10. In fact, he's been at many conferences. Started at Virginia Tech, went to East Tennessee State. Shout out old Tim Smith. I'm sorry about that loss in the 2004 NCAA tournament. Erroneous. Jalen Haynes, 6'8", 260 pounds. First team Atlantic 10 at George Mason, where he averaged 14 points and 7 rebounds. Let's break it down, Niehaus. Your initial thoughts when you break down a Big Slime's tape. One thing that sticks out is he's powerful and he's pretty nimble on his feet. For a mammoth human being, you get DJ Burns vibes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The first thing that sticks out is this couldn't be more opposite than what we watched this year, the post presence that we had on this year's roster, is because he's somebody that we saw a clip earlier in the week. I sent it to you guys that, you know, he got the ball off a pick and roll, went through his legs, spin move, drove to the basket, went up for a layup, dished it out for a corner three. I'm like, we would never see anything like that on this year's Bearcat team. So he's somebody that I don't think he necessarily stretches the floor in terms of 3-point shooting, but he's somebody
like 12%.
who can give, no, not good, but like you can give him the ball and he can get into a post move and he has some talent around the rim. He's big. He's huge. I mean, he's a load. And also the thing that sticks out is that he's a dog. I mean, that's something we've been talking about for a few months now, is that we need dogs. And I think we're 3 for 3 in the dog department. Like seriously, Wes and Corey have a type and it's clear who they're going after.
One thing that I saw just from watching 5 minutes of his tape, he does a lot of things pretty well, right? Like he could put it on the deck, has a nice little spin move, can flush it with authority, can block shots, can rebound really well for his size, which is undersized for the most part at 6'7", but he's big bodied, 260 pounds, gives you a little big baby Glenn Davis prototype. But I saw him in a video score over Malawatch at Duke, and the first shot was blocked. He got it back, recomposed himself, took a couple of dribbles, spun over his opposite shoulder, and just finessed it up and in. And I was like, Aziz Bandaogo against Malawatch would have not done that with 700 tries, legit 700 free tries. So that from the tape alone is an upgrade from Aziz. The passing looks to be a big upgrade from Aziz. But the thing is, he's probably a 4 when you look at the size. I mean, I guess he could play undersized big. Maxiel Hicks, those guys used to do it back in the day. But 6'7", you would have to assume that he's a 4.
Well, he played 100% of his time at a 5. So that's the thing is, but you look at him and you're like 6'8", like that's going to be a quite the change for us when it comes to height at the 5, right? Like he's definitely undersized in terms of height, but he's big. So like,
yeah,
I'm intrigued and I'm okay with going 6'8" at the 5 because like you just mentioned, Maxiel and Hicks, those guys were not tall.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's going to get bullied. You know what I mean? That's the worry is like with a 6'8" guy, like, will that guy get bullied? I don't think that's going to be the case because he is a unit. Like they call him the big slime. Like he is a big guy. And I'm okay with switching it up there. Obviously Aziz is a very tall human and he's long. And that was his kind of rim protection was obviously huge for Aziz. And Lily can go on and on about how much he loved Aziz for that. But rim protection might be an issue, right, with a 6'8" center, but I also think our perimeter defense might be better. That's something that Lily pointed out as well with Sincere Harris. So I'm willing to roll the dice on a 6'8" guy at the 5, considering the offensive ability that this guy has.
Yeah, I'm stupid for even bringing up the fact that he could play the 4, just because there's no way, unless you get some stretch 5 big, that you could really make it work. I do look at like when Gary Clark had Kyle Washington next to him, and it was like Washington was technically a center, right? He was what, 6'9", 6'10", but would stretch the floor a little bit. Maybe you could get a combo like that. But he is powerful. He does block shots, had multiple games with 2, had many games with 3 this season. So he can get up there and swat it. Does have an issue to foul from time to time. Fouled out of, off the top of my head, just looking at it, looks like he fouled out of about 4 or 5 games this season, had 4 many times. So that is scary season if you don't compliment him with a nice big. But maybe it's Sean Phillips. Maybe it's someone from Kentucky. You know, maybe the Cats are still in the sweepstakes for someone else to bring in, and he is just one of the pieces you bring in down low and not the only one. He can't be the only one. But I will say this. Got much better as the season went along. The 14 points that he averaged last year, quite frankly, should have been more, because the first like 7-8 games of the season, he was only playing 15, 18 minutes per game. And by the end, he was playing, 40 minutes in some games, 34 minutes in many games, and scoring double figures consecutively in the last like 16 games of the season. Like he was their best player and a first team all conference player that really stepped it up as the season went along. He's coming into Cincinnati with a ton of momentum. And like you mentioned, he is a dog. We don't need no cats. We don't need no meows. You need to be more like a dog. And the Cats are starting to get them with their 3 that they've brought in. They will also bring in the freshman Sean Abayev, averaged 22 points per game, only 37% from the floor in the circuit. Give me the circuit name, Niehaus.
Overtime elite.
Overtime elite. 37% from the floor, 35% from 3, but 91 from the line. The deep number and the free throws tell you all you need to know that this guy can shoot. The 37% just tells you that his volume was ridiculous, and he was throwing up 40-footers like we saw in the videos. Also, they bring in Keyshawn Tillery, prep player of the year, who's been described as like a bulldog. I've seen him listed as small as 5'10", but he's a unit. He gets to the bucket. He's smart. He's heady. And apparently he is a no-nonsense kind of guy that can, quite frankly, come in with somewhat of a leadership role and tell people to step their game up. Is just a freshman. And so, yeah, that's where we stand. Tyler McKinley, too. And Jizzle James has announced that he is returning for the Cincinnati Bearcats. Still no news on Day Thomas, although the assumption is that he's going to return. And aside from that, that's kind of the team, right, that we've ran through. We're about halfway there.
Yeah, Connor Hickman left since we've last talked. He's somebody that transferred out. Not even sure if he's going to have eligibility. Like, he's just I guess at this point, why go get a job when you can make six figures in playing hoops for?
Did you make the Happy Gilmore picture of him?
I didn't. I didn't. I was gonna
the people
verbal meme. I was gonna have Hickman joining Kalu Ezekpe and Rapolis Ivanauskas, Happy Miller and credit or Happy Miller, Happy, whatever I'm talking about. Gilmore, above the house with Abraham Lincoln. So verbal meme. Add Connor Hickman with Kalu Ezekpe and Rapolis.
Let's add Eric Lilly to the program, our statistician, our scout, everything that's important he brings to the mix. Big Slime joining the fold. We both like it. I originally thought 4, and then as Niehaus broke it down, no, this guy plays 100% of the time at the center position. Where do you see him fitting into the fold? Starter, first man off the bench? What are you thinking?
I'm with Niehaus. I've seen a lot of people saying the 4 thing, and there's shorter 5s in the Big 12. BYU was playing a 6'6" guy and a 6'8" guy there. They had a pretty good season. You just have that. You have to have a big team around them. And, he isn't incompetent at blocking shots, but I don't think he's going to be good at it at the Big 12 level. I could see maybe here and there, like on a double big lineup or something like that. Wes has done that in the past, right? But I guess he's going to start, I like the pickup, but I'm just a little concerned, just a little. I think we are 3 for 3 right now with guys that have an edge, that competitive edge that we want, like so desperately after these past 2 seasons. It's honestly pathetic how happy it makes me that we've got 3 guys in a row that are like, even if we're bad next year, we're going to look way better, in my opinion, like see stuff that fans want to see. But I do think we're definitely raising the floor on this roster with having guys at each position on the court. Like we've got a point guard, shooting guard, center now that you can put out there and they're not going to get punked.
Can he pass? That's the big question. He averaged under 2 assists a game a season ago. That doesn't obviously tell the entire story. There's a lot that can go into that, but 2 things that stick out. One is the assist numbers. Can he pass out of the post and help generate offense for a little inside out? And then the second thing would just be the fouls and turnovers. You see a lot of 5 turnover games. You see 6 turnover games. You see 4 personal fouls. Like as just like highlights, you watch them and you're like, oh my God, the Bearcats just got big baby. We got Glenn Davis. We're going to the Final Four like LSU. Where's Tyrus Thomas? Is that, Sean Abayev? You're fired up in that sense, in the comparison game and the numbers game. But when you dig a little deeper and you see turnovers and you see fouls and you see lack of assists, like that scares you a little bit, specifically the turnovers.
He had a higher turnover rate than Aziz. And, Aziz isn't the worst at it, but he is a little clumsy. But one thing to note here is Haynes was top 40 in the country in usage rate.
Figured.
George Mason was running stuff through him. I don't think we're going to do that, but he can pass. He's getting assists. You see it in the highlights, some cool backdoors and using his body kind of to like buy time a little to let go of a pass. I think he's going to tone down his usage here, but also still be an offensive threat, if I had to guess right now.
Who's up next, fellas? Is it going to be our man Phillips? Who's the bigs that he's bringing in? How many is he going to bring in? And why do we still keep targeting point guards? Because I've seen that. And are we going to get that D2 guy that was hot for a minute, or is that long gone?
Those are definitely questions for Lily, but so I'll let you answer here in a sec, Lily. But when it comes to Phillips, at this point, I'm all in on him if we can get him as the backup 5 right behind Haynes. I feel like I watched his tape. Obviously, is the best of the best of what these guys did this year. I saw one singular post move in a bucket, and I'm like, there's already an upgrade in terms of offense right there. That's not a lob. So I feel like he'd be a good addition as a backup 5. Do you agree with that, Lily? Also, I'm curious what you have to answer with Chuck's question.
Yeah, I was really scared of Phillips as a starter, but I don't know. He's pretty proven as a backup, I think, at the power level. He's done it for a couple years. different
All
body
he
type.
does is dunk, though. All he does is dunk. He's a lob
so it
threat.
is similar to Aziz in that
Wes would,
department.
Wes would run the same sets, so that's what scares you a little bit. He's not stepping out and knocking down the three. There's no part of his game that I think is going to develop to where he's going to be. I mean, he's huge, like 7 feet, legit. Those guys don't grow on trees, but if you're expecting him to be more than just like someone that comes in and dunks it and plays solid defense, I don't think you're necessarily going to get that. Do we need more than that? I think yes. So it depends what the financial situation is and what Wes's plan for him is, Lily. I think that's the biggest thing with all these bigs is he's got to have, someone that you can go down to that can make plays happen out of the post, and we're hoping it is Haynes.
Yeah. Phillips certainly isn't going to be doing that. Think of like Aziz with a bigger body, right? He'll have rim protection, rebounding, and he doesn't shoot much. He's not going to be chucking up BS. He'll dunk it if he gets it and he's open.
And he'll finish everything around the rim. Yeah.
Not and if that's your backup, in my opinion, that's fine. Especially in this center market, which just seems impossible to navigate from like a middle of the pack team like us right now. And in terms of guys that we're targeting, it seems like it's really just him and, I've got that big spreadsheet of a bunch of names, but you can usually tell pretty quickly who's a real target or not. And right now it's looking like Sean Phillips and Jalen Celestine. Celestine's a 3. Phillips would be the backup 5. Otherwise, not much going on. It's a little odd seeing we still have 5-6 spots. So something's going to start happening here pretty soon.
In 10 days, right? Because I remember Dylan Mitchell committed last year around this time. It was the day that Scotty Scheffler got arrested for PGA or whatever tournament it was. And I remember it was around this weekend last year. So everyone has to be committed aside from international players by the 22nd.
I think you can commit later. You just can't enter afterwards.
You can't
correct,
enter?
Lily?
That's probably right. Makes more sense.
Yeah, you can commit after, but you got to get in before the deadline.
Because Dylan was probably even later last year. Because I remember
Dylan was mid-May, actually.
Mid-May.
He was late.
Okay. Gotcha.
But the other guys were right this week, both of them.
Lily, I feel like this was a weird recruitment for Jalen Haynes because, didn't know the guy. Well, and I don't know how much A10 ball you watched, Lily. I didn't watch much of it this year, but outside of the championship, it's like I don't know this guy existed. He enters the portal. Okay, he's coming. Who knows who reached out to him? And he's committed 4 days later. I feel like this is a weird one. It was very tight knit. We didn't even know what other schools were recruiting him. Was it? I don't think I've ever seen anything like this where it's it just seemed like it was a lock from the start.
Kind of like Creesa, just not totally out of the blue with Creesa, but this is what are we 36 hours into this one, 48 hours?
Yeah.
And Chad mentioned that Dollar was on him, and I think that's kind of how Dollar goes. Behind the scenes, and then boom, it's over. I don't, you heard rumors about Brandon Garrison. Maybe that's something we were entertaining and then just decided it. All right, let's go after this guy and just lock it up, So you were just allowed to start hosting guys yesterday. So he's a priority target, If you're bringing in someone on the first day you can, at some point during this past week, we decided that he's the guy we're going to go for.
He looks good, man. Again, it's some of those numbers that from not watching games, I can't tell you what the turnovers looked like. But when you see 5 mini games, you see 6, you see 5 in their last game of the season, a loss to Bradley in the NIT, that scares you a little bit there. And then also 4 fouls multiple times to end the season. He fouled out 5-6 times. So those are things you got to look into. But when you're just watching the tape alone, he's got good footwork, seems to have really good hands, finishes everything around the rim, pretty nimble for his size. I didn't see any pull-ups. I didn't see anything that says that if you give him the open 10-footer, he's going to bury it by any means. But off the dribble, he brings a lot more to the table than Aziz does. And you figure in that pick and roll offense, it's just going to look a lot better. You at least got to respect him because once he catches the ball, he's not standing there looking around. He can actually finish.
As far as I can tell, he's an upgrade. And I feel like that's just what we keep doing this portal season is okay, who's gone? right? Connor Hickman, Ray Vaughn.
But I feel like we did that last year, and that's what scared me. But I do see him fitting in differently.
As far as I can tell, like he's definitely offensively better than what we had. Definitely.
Sure.
Now, obviously, it's going to come
18 against Duke.
Yeah,
had 18 against Duke.
Now, is that going to come at the expense of rim protection? Because I mean, Aziz was a great, defender. So, but I do feel like these are upgrades, at least in the attitude department. Like there's no telling how important that is. So, I like what we're doing. I like what Wes and Corey are doing. But again, I can't get too high on a guy. I mean, he averaged 14 in the A10. Like, it's not like he's going to come in here and I don't know. I don't want to put anything out to get clipped, right? Like he could come in here and average 15, but I don't want to get ahead of my skis on anybody, Chuck. I'm kind of waiting and seeing, but it does seem like an upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the splits last year, because I was telling you that he got into, just as the season went along, he got so much better. He was averaging, can't even get an average on this. This is some, you hate to see it. Anyways, he scored 63 points in 7 games in the month of November, and in 7 games in the month of February had 137, doubled that. So he just got a lot better as the season went along, scored over 600 points last season. Not going to knock down any threes. He went 3 of 17 for the season. He was 60% from the charity stripe. Not great in that regard, but he'll go up there. He'll get offensive rebounds, get some steals, get some blocks, and will turn it over and foul people a lot in the process. That's all I know about the guy. We'll see more into it, but Cats still have some money to spend. Lily, last question I have for you before we wrap up this rapid fire show. Do you think we've gotten the crown jewel yet in terms of the most expensive player? Or is there someone we haven't heard of that's coming along that's going to be, our $1 million golden goose?
Man, that's something I've been wondering the last couple of days, because you're not seeing the link, right? Like we don't see a public. Brandon Garrison would probably fit that bill if we had gotten him. I think this very obviously takes us out of that, even though he never entered the portal. If we do, to me, like getting a star or borderline star, whatever, the crown jewel power forward, that would really make me think we've got a chance to do something next year, I think, with our current core. Or if we got a wing that can play, that is a 3 that can play 4. I think that would change my tone about next year for sure if we pulled that off. But it's hard to tell right now. Like it kind of feels like we're just trying to, at this point, fill out the roster, but there should be a big swing at some point here, you'd think.
It does feel like they're getting a lot of different types of talent, which last year, I mean, I'd have to go through my opinions at the time. But, I mean, you look at Kriisa, he's someone that can create. He's someone that can shoot. He can shoot off the dribble. He can shoot from far away. He's got that dog mentality. You look at Abayev, someone that can stroke it from anywhere on the floor. You bring in Tillery, can get to the rim, junkyard dog, kind of a bulldog. Harris, the bigger version of him at the shooting guard position. And now you bring in Haynes as kind of a powerful center. You return Jizzle. We know what Jizzle brings. You think you return Day-Day. You know what he brings to the table. And that's really your squad right now. The one thing that I will say, unless it is Abayev, there's no one on this team that I think is going to be your alpha, your go-to, your Sean Kilpatrick, your whoever, your Jaron Cumberland, whoever it is. I don't think this team has it currently, but I would think based on the retention that Wes Miller thinks it could be Jizzle James again.
I'm with you, Chuck. I think we obviously need, if this year told us anything, it's that you need an alpha. Like you had 3 guys probably making about the same amount of money as each other. We had no idea who was going to be the best player going into the year. Obviously 2 out of those 3 guys did not play well at all. So that hurt us big time, but we don't have that. So I'm glad you bring that up, because like we can sit here and be like, I love the additions. I love the additions. I love the exits too. Like it seems like this portal is going great for us so far, but like it doesn't mean anything. We said, unless you get got a big who's a dog. I like him. Right. But also get an alpha, and we might be a Abayev, but I don't know. He's a freshman.
And
Can't really,
it could be Haynes. Like you watch his tape and what he did against Duke, like he looked pretty good in some of those highlights. He can play. I don't think you can bank on it by any means, but he could be someone down low that gives you, 12 and 6 a game and is seriously someone that you can get it down low to. And not only is he going to get you a bucket, but if he doesn't get you a bucket, he's going to make the right pass to the corner for an open Abayev deep one.
And Chuck, I think that it's pretty important to nail this backup center spot because you mentioned his foul trouble and possibly even conditioning or something like that. He played 25 minutes a game, which is normal for a Wes Miller team, but not normal for a lot of other teams. So if we're in a position where we have a bad backup, you're really going to run into some issues with when he picks up 2 fouls early.
Yeah. No, I think Wes needs to really create competition. And I know that when you're signing someone from the portal that may have a bunch of other offers, you're not promising anything, I'd hope. The best coaches always say, Bob Huggins used to say, I'm going to promise you an education and a pair of sneakers. That's it, kid. The rest of it's up to you. I hope Wes is taking that same approach and not telling Big Slime, like you're our guy. You need to bring in other bigs to compete with him. And the best man needs to play. That's the way that I look at it. And maybe it isn't that way with funds that you have to lot out nowadays, but you got to get better. You got to just keep getting better bigs. I think you need at least 2 more. Legit, at least 2 more. Because I'm not looking at Halvin as anyone that can log any sort of minutes this season in a serious game. I haven't seen enough, personally. And McKinley, who knows?
Yeah, and I wish we didn't have the takes from Wes about Page where he's saying that he's going to blow up this year because who knows how good McKinley is, considering Wes, when he got hurt, said that he was going to be super impactful. But it's I feel like you can't really take Wes at his word on his players because he's going to gas them up any chance he gets. But I feel like okay with McKinley as a backup 4, 5, like a pseudo. He's going to give you 15 minutes.
Oh, he's a 5. Yeah.
I mean, he's a 5, but the third guy, right? Whether it's Sean Phillips ahead of him, I don't know, but the third guy at some point in the big, because he's going to be a redshirt freshman. I have a feeling McKinley might be really good by year 3, but he's still young, he's still early in this process, so tough to tell because we simply don't know.
Yeah, the question is when it comes to both the 4 and the 5 position, how many guys can you get that can actually put the ball in the basket consistently? Because Halvin, that's not what he's going to do, at least at this age. He's going to be a high energy player. He's going to block some shots and grab some rebounds. That seems like it's more of his game. And then McKinley, I have no idea. Can he score at this level? Can he put a post move up on you and get to the basket? If not, you got to find at least a couple of those guys. Hopefully, 2 at every single position, the 4 and the 5. That's probably not going to happen, but I think that's why you got to start stockpiling bigs. I feel decent about your guards as long as you can add in 1 legitimate playmaker, get 1 more guard, and then from there, 2 more power forwards, 2 more centers. You can't have enough. Let's make them go through training day.
Yeah, from everything I've heard, McKinley's a smart guy, can pass the ball, high IQ, just makes the right plays. It's just why that video was so funny, that Horde post to the screen he set and ran into his own. But, he's been off all year. We'll see. Again, you cannot go into the season relying on him. It is like we did with Page this past year. All summer we heard how great he was, and a lot of people knew it was a mistake, including me, someone who's usually the optimistic one. Can't do it again this year. Your job's on the line. A lot's on the line this season, right?
Yeah.
We're going to say the same things as last year, but with even more emphasis.
Look, if you want to rely on a big man room of Haynes, of let's say it is Sean Phillips, and let's say it's McKinley as well, I just don't know. There's too many moving variables there and too many guesstimations of how they'd plug in to assume that that's good enough. I would say you'd have to get some sort of a stretch 4 or a mid-major guy from Bucknell that maybe 6'7", but he's tactical down low and can pass out of the post and can give you at least a scoring presence down there that's on the cheap. Because you got to get more than, a 7-foot guy that can block shots, but we don't think that he has any sort of a post game. Someone that's transferring from George Mason that does look really good, but let's hold our horses here. We thought Aziz was the next Kareem when he played for Utah Valley. And then McKinley, truly, we have no idea what to expect there. So I think you got to get someone in the 6'7", frisky guy. I don't hate it. Go get yourself a Shefflin from Clemson, like that guy. Let's find our Shefflin. Creighton seems to get those guys pretty consistently. Let's find them. Let's find them on the cheap. Final thoughts from each of you. Let's start with Niehaus.
I said this last podcast at the end is I'm just excited. And at this point, I'm excited because it is going to be a completely different team, whether they're good or not. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like the jury's still out whether this team will be good, but one thing that they will be is different when it comes to attitude and edginess and competitiveness and fire. That's something I'm super excited about. I'm excited to see Kirk Risa, Sincere Harris, both of them dogs. Now we get another absolute dog. Like Lily, what's his X-Dog rating? Like we need that. We need that play-by-play next year.
Almost
like this
maxed
guy,
out, baby.
Yeah, I'm excited to see some fire from the guys. And I'm not like hating on anybody making TikToks, right? But like, pregame dances to pregame like boxing matches. Like that's what we're going from to now is we got a lot of guys with edge, and that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, and next year we need to start the Heart in the Paint needs to be playing before the tip off again. We got to get the guys fired up, the crowd fired up. No more of this golf clapping in fifth, third. I think these players are a good start to stuff like that. How they play, it kind of just energizes fans. My final thought, Chuck, is Aziz Bandaogo led the Bearcats this past season with 82 free throw attempts. Jalen Haynes had 184. This is a big fella who gets in good spots, attacks the rim, and gets fouled. I know people are going to talk about his free throw percentage. I don't care. If you're a big man and you're 60% and you get to the line a lot, it's really not that big of a deal, considering the alternative of having a big man who can't score. So, and it puts pressure on the defense. There's other things happening other than missing the front end. But if he's shooting it, he gets two. So I'll take it.
Here's the deal, man. Yancey Gates, one of the best big men that we've had in the last 20 years. He was up there. He averaged a career 58% from the line, including 60% his senior year. We weren't complaining. I mean, we were complaining about Yancey Gates quite a bit. He had so much more in there, but damn, was he solid. And if Jalen Haynes gives you a little Yancey getting to the free throw line like Yancey did, because his numbers back in the day, he'd get there almost 4 times a game. So you'll take that. Haynes getting there even more. This is Chatterbox Bearcats. We will see you next time. From Lily Niehaus, I'm Chuck Walter. Enjoy your Saturday, everyone. Jalen Haynes becomes the 3rd member of the Cincinnati Bearcats Portal Patrol pickup. Peace, everyone.